are you? Hope that you're doing well now that it's Friday, now that we're at the end of the week. I know for some people Friday is the first day of the weekend, so I hope everyone out there is having a good day. Hopefully that you're I hope that you're good and safe in your part of the world. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you're up to. Let me know what this weekend is doing for you. What are you doing this weekend to help you get better at what you do? I mean, you are trying to be a data professional, right? You got to keep up with those skills. You got to keep on building. You got to keep on learning. You got to keep on advancing. So what are you doing this weekend to help you get a little further? You do have something, don't you? If you don't, that's a problem, right? Even with me, with my experience and all that I've done, I'm still looking for ways to advance, ways to get better, ways to improve. So I hope the same for you. I hope that you're looking at different things that you're doing out there that you want to accomplish. Let me know how you're doing. Let me know all the good things that are going on out there for you in terms of your studies, in terms of your approach to data science, approach to AI. What are you doing? What's got you excited? What's really, kind of piqued your interest? I'm here for all of that. So I'm going to be with you here as long as we have conversation going on in the chat. I stream every day at this same time, approximately 1500 GMT, but whatever time this is in your time zone, this is when you can usually find me on a regular basis. After I finish here, I go over and stream over on my Instagram. If you don't follow me on Instagram, please go ahead and do so. I am DS with Dennis over on Instagram, or Data Science with Dennis. You can find me under either one of those. But yeah, anything I can do for you guys as far as discussion you want to have, or questions, or thoughts, or opinions, or feedback that you want, I'm here for all of that. It's very important to be a data scientist and be able to receive feedback, give feedback, be part of a greater community. All of those things are really important in data science. That's one of the parts of science that often gets overlooked, right? That there's supposed to be a little bit of a community aspect to it. One, because you want people to build on your work, and two, because in a lot of cases, you want your work to be publicly validated. You want other people to take a second look at your work and say, yeah, I can replicate these results. And that helps you. That helps lend credibility to your work, right? So that's part of why we get together here. In the chat, we have Anonymous One says, hi. Hey, Anonymous One, good to see you back. I know you joined us earlier in the week, so glad that you're here. Let me know how you're doing. I believe that you were in Asia somewhere, Anonymous. I can't remember if you told us exactly where. But let me know how you're doing. Hopefully you're good and safe in your part of the world. Anonymous says, what is your course costs and what do you teach? I want to become a data analyst. So Anonymous, thanks for the question. And congratulations on your decision to want to become a data analyst. That's awesome. So Anonymous One, I know you're new to my content, so I'll tell you that I do not offer those cheap courses. I am not one of those idiot influencers that sells you a cheap course. They promised you the world and then the course is terrible, or doesn't really prepare you, or the course just tells you to buy another course. I don't do any of that. That's not me, because data science requires serious work, right? So Anonymous, really the only product that I offer is one-on-one coaching. So for someone like you that wants to become a data analyst, I would work with you one-on-one to see where your skills are at and then build up your skills. So for example, for my data analyst people, my clients, I have a custom tutorial with a custom data set that I run people through. And when I say that, I don't mean like I just send them a bunch of recordings. I mean that I have a custom data set, and we pretend that we have a client. I'm your boss. You're a staff data analyst, and then we walk through it. What do you see? What do you think? And then you might come back to me, and then I'll ask you questions. I might challenge you a little bit, and it's all very one-on-one, very high touch, very high customization to what you need and where your skills are. So that's really the only product I offer. It's very personal, which I enjoy because I have a great roster of clients right now. So yeah, anonymous. I wish I had some course or something. I just here's a buy now button, but that's not me. I work very one on one with my people. So if you want more information on that, feel free to click on the link in the bio or send me an email, and I'll be happy to help you. Anonymous one also says, "I'm good, thank you. How are you?" I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Appreciate you asking there, and I'm doing great. Where I live in the desert, so it's been very hot this summer, but right now it's finally starting to cool down. I went to the dog park this morning and it was just beautiful out. It was just really, really nice out at the dog park. 70 degrees, which I think is about, what is that? That's probably around 20 Celsius, maybe less, something like that. So really beautiful weather. Got up, I got my breakfast. I'm finishing my iced coffee here from Chick-fil-A. So yeah, I'm having a great Friday. I'm gonna do my streaming, and then I check in with all of my clients one on one on Fridays, and yeah, and then I got a couple of phone calls this weekend, a couple of prospective new clients. So I'm just moving forward, having a good day. Thanks for asking. Somebody made a question yesterday, and I did a video reply about how I was doing emotionally. Guys, I consider myself the luckiest guy in the world. I sit at home all day talking about what I love. So all is good over here. All is good over here. Thank you. Casual Economist, my good friend, says Chick-fil-A has good coffee. So for those of you guys outside of the U.S., this is from Chick-fil-A, a very popular chain here in the U.S. And Casual Economists, no, they actually have terrible coffee. It gets watered down so quickly, too. They use way too much ice. So right now, this is practically ice water. No, it's terrible, but I just got it out of convenience, if I'm being completely honest. I usually do prefer Starbucks, but I got breakfast at Chick-fil-A, so I just decided to get the coffee. That I was too lazy to make multiple stops. But yeah, no, they they actually have terrible coffee. Sorry, Chick-fil-A. And on top of that, they just pump in the syrup, and then the syrup just sinks to the bottom. So you got to sit there and stir it. Otherwise, you'll get nothing but syrup at the bottom. Yeah, so it's terrible. Ty, my good friend Ty's in the chat. How are you, my friend? So good to see you. So Ty says, I like their breakfast burritos with their salsa. Yeah, you know what, Ty? The chicken biscuits at Chick-fil-A are just they're my kryptonite. They're my kryptonite. The chicken biscuits at Chick-fil-A with the strawberry jam. I owe many, many pounds on my body to those stupid chicken biscuits. But yeah, for those of you who don't know, Chick-fil-A does have pretty good breakfast. Yes, a casual economist, you never gotten breakfast there. They actually have a decent breakfast there. The thing about Chick-fil-A, I don't know what it is, guy, in your area. Like Ty, I think in your area you have a lot more Chick-fil-A's than I do. But out here, the Chick-fil-A actually opens relatively late. They don't open until 6:30, I think, for breakfast. Which where I live in Las Vegas, that's pretty late. A couple places are open 24 hours. The Starbucks out here opens like at 5 a.m. So, and I'm out at that hour. I go to the dog park at like 5 a.m. when it's dark. So waiting until 6:30, it's kind of late. Yeah, Ty. Ty says we have a lot of those. Yeah, Ty. I don't want to give away your location, but I lived in close to you before, and I love how there's a Chick-fil-A on every block out there. Here, there's only like I think 3 Chick-fil-A's in the entire city. I happen to live near one of them, but we only have 3, and the first one only happened like in 2018. So we haven't had Chick-fil-A for that long. But yeah, opens early like 6. Yeah, yeah, Ty. Out here they don't do that. Out here they don't open to 6:30, maybe even 7. I might be wrong about 6:30. So yeah, I just went out of convenience, but no, Coming back to the question, their coffee absolutely stinks. It is not good coffee. They do other things well, but they do not do coffee well. Um, Casual Economist says, I never had breakfast there. I gotta try that. Yeah, Casual Economist, you gotta try the chicken biscuits. The chicken biscuits, as simple as they are, they're pretty tasty, man. They're pretty tasty. Ty says, now I'm hungry. But Ty, you probably already had breakfast by this time. At least I would hope so. But so good to see everybody in the chat today. What do you guys got going on this weekend? Ty says, happy Friday and good morning. Good morning to you too, Ty. Um, Casual Economist says strawberry jam. Yeah, yeah. They give you these little here. They give you these little Smuckers packets. Get the biscuit and then put some of this on. Ask for the strawberry jam and put it on top. That's my kryptonite, guys. I can't lie to you guys. I love that stuff because then you get the chicken with a little bit of the sweetness of the jam. It's not good for your waistline, guys. So don't be taking. This is definitely not a diet channel or a diet and lifestyle channel. But if you want to try something different, the Chick-fil-A biscuit with the strawberry jam, it's hard to beat. Hard to beat. So let me know if you end up trying it, Casual Economist. I mean, you were eating stuff at the fair the other day, so this might actually be right up your alley. But yeah, Chick-fil-A out here is definitely a killer for my diet and for budget. Chick-fil-A is not cheap. They are not cheap. Definitely a little bit more of upscale fast food, right? But yeah, so this weekend I got a couple of prospective client calls. I'm still determined to get some work done with Midjourney. I haven't done my Midjourney stuff yet. I still want to do some more explorations there. So I'm determined to do that. But what are you guys going on this weekend? What are you doing to improve your skills? Let me know. Let me know if you guys want to share anything. Anonymous one. Let me know if you want to share your thoughts on becoming a data analyst. You got two good guys in the chat with Ty and Casual Economist there. Maybe they'll help you out too. But, you got to have some sort of plan of attack, guys, right? You got to have some sort of plan for how you're going to advance. These things are not going to happen on their own, right? You gotta move forward. Casual Economist says, I'm staying home and studying this weekend. All right, well, that sounds like the right attitude. But Casual Economist, I know you said, I think you were favoring medical work or medical studies over your data studies. Is that what you mean, or what do you got going on? Casual Economist says, maybe watch some UFC and boxing. Yeah, huge fight this weekend, guys, right? The Crawford-Canelo fight, that's going to be a huge fight. Actually, one of my coaching clients is a boxing fan, and well, I don't want to give anything away for their privacy. But yeah, there's a huge fight this weekend. A lot of people are cheering for Crawford. So we'll see what happens this weekend. It's also Mexican Independence Weekend. I think it's tomorrow, the 13th. So in Las Vegas, a lot of people come from Mexico. Although I don't know if that's going to be the same this year because tourism is really down. But yeah, there should be a packed house for that fight here in Las Vegas. Maybe I'm looking to go into that. That could be fun to go to. Yeah, I don't know what UFC is going on this weekend, Casual Economist. I don't think it's a big one. But the big event with this weekend is definitely the Canelo-Crawford fight. Cindy, how are you? Cindy says good morning. Good morning to you too, Cindy. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us. Okay, that means I have two of my clients in the chat. That's wonderful. That's awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate your support. Casual Economist, when are you going to let me coach you? You could be the third client in the chat right now. But yeah, good morning, Cindy. I'm glad you're here. Hope you're doing well. Let us know how your Friday is going. We just finished talking about Chick-fil-A, which I know is also popular out in your part of the world. So, Casual Economist says UFC Noche. It was at the Vegas Sphere last year. Yeah, that was a huge fight. Huge fight. Guys, I don't know how many of you have been to the Sphere, but Casual Economist, I had not been to the Sphere when that fight was on. And I thought to myself, how are they doing that fight in such a little space? Because, the Sphere doesn't look that big from the outside, right? But here's what they don't tell you. And because I went to the Sphere in January for CES. In fact, I think I posted some videos online of me singing to Lenny Kravitz. But I don't think people realize how big the floor space is there. Because they have all the seats against one side of the Sphere, and then they have the screen on the opposite side. But then in between, there is massive floor space. And I didn't realize that was the case, and that's how they did that UFC fight. But I was just shocked on how much floor space there is there, like, just a plain floor. And I guess that's one of those things, right? The area of a circle is bigger than you think, right? It's deceptive. I get that. But yeah, I wasn't. I just when I saw it on TV, the UFC fight, I was like, how are they doing that? There's just it doesn't seem like a big space. But the Sphere floor is massive, much more than people think it is. Cindy says, it is. I love it because it has the kids area. Yeah, see, Cindy, we were just talking about that. Chick-fil-A is very popular in other parts of the US, but here in Vegas, we've only had it for about 5, 6 years, something like that. And we only have three. Um, so yeah, the Chick-fil-A's out here aren't nearly that advanced. They don't have the kids area and all that. But yeah, obviously, I do know what you're talking about. I have been to some of those. But out here, we just have the basic Chick-fil-A's, but we're just happy to have them because we haven't, they're relatively new out here in Vegas. Um, but yeah. If you guys haven't tried Chick-fil-A, casual economists, you got to get out there. Got to get out there. So what are you guys working on? Let me know what you guys got going on. What are you doing? I mean, Cindy and Ty, I'm going to check in with you later today, as usual. My Friday check-ins. But we all got to have a plan, right? We all got to have a plan for how we're improving. How are we moving ourselves forward? I am determined to do more work with Midjourney. I got to the sign up page, the insert your credit card number here, because they charge money for Midjourney. You know that they charge good money for that. So I'm determined to get my account up and running on there. I want to try a couple prompts. But yeah, what else you guys got going on? What are you doing? Cindy says, my previous work buddy did DA work for Mickey D's, Taco Bell, and all that, and Chick-fil-A was making the best profit. Okay. How are you getting that data, though? Because Chick-fil-A is not a public company from what I remember, right? I can't remember if they're public or not. But Taco Bell obviously is public. I think that's Yum Brands or Yum Foods or whatever. Mickey D's obviously. And Chick-fil-A was making the best profit. I could see that. Yeah, because Chick-fil-A is delicious. I mean, there's really no other way to say that, right? It is very delicious. Because they use Okay, so they were doing it as part of a work project. Okay, for some reason I assumed independent study or. But yeah, I mean, if you have some sort of consulting connection or something else there, it probably would be easy to get the data. But yeah, I could see that because, I mean, have you guys ever seen a Chick-fil-A drive-through line? You can be there for an hour in their drive-through line. They're popular. They're super popular. But yeah, I could see that. Well-run companies usually are making good profits, right? It seems like they treat their people right. They got good pricing. They got at core, they got a good product, right? So yeah, I could see they deserve their success, right? I mean, there's companies out there that you look at and you say, well, they deserve to be winning, right? And Chick-fil-A is certainly one of those that you can make the argument for. But yeah, I wish I was in another state where there's a Chick-fil-A on every corner. I don't want to give away anything about Ty or Cindy. But obviously there's other states out there where they're much more common, but out here they are not. Leo, my good friend Leo, how are you? Leo says, morning, Dennis. Good morning to you too, Leo. So good to see you. So good to see you back. So many good people in the chat today. How are you, Leo? Hopefully the stock market treated you okay yesterday, Leo. Certainly a lot of movement in stocks yesterday because of the CPI report, in case you guys didn't see that. But the CPI report is an interesting piece of data to look at if you guys are interested in that. Leo was kind enough to remind me that it was coming. He reminded me on Wednesday night that it was coming out Thursday morning. But yeah, good to see you, Leo. Hope you're doing well out there. Cindy says, where I am, there are chicken wars between Sam's and Kroger, where 1 week would be more expensive by the other by 1 penny. Okay, I'm assuming you mean Sam's Club. By 1 penny, geez. I wonder if that really drives people. Like, would people go across the street or whatever for 1 penny? Or how far would you go for a savings, right? Like what would it take for you to go from one store to another? Like, is it 10 cents, 25 cents, 50 cents? Who knows, right? Who knows? It seems to me that, like, everything because of inflation has become so devalued. So Cindy, my question to you would be like, does anybody care about a penny or 50 cents anymore? Or even a dollar, right? Like what's a dollar nowadays? Like would you go across the street or somewhere, or how far would you go to save a dollar? Like across the street, across the city to another town? I don't know. It just seems like everything's so devalued that people would say, 75 cents, who cares? I'm buying it, right? Like the savings mean nothing to me, right? Like at some point, people have to think like that, right? Leo says, good to see you too, my friend. All good in NYC, not on Wall Street though, for sure, right? Um, yeah, Leo, I just saw, you're a smart guy, so you probably read Seeking Alpha already. But in case you don't, Seeking Alpha has an article this morning making the case that gold has reached a peak and we're in for a downturn in gold. So obviously, I love following gold. I have some gold investments. So hopefully, hopefully that's not true. But yeah, there's a lot of parts of Wall Street that are kind of getting worried. Like, okay, everything's at an all-time high. What's going to give, right? I mean, the market, stocks, the stocks, real estate, gold, Bitcoin, like everything's at all-time highs, right? So people are kind of shaky, right? So we'll see, Leo. Interesting times ahead. Cindy says, I definitely use the apps and pick up and deliver because delivery is free. Oh, yeah. From Sam's Club. Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking Chick-fil-A for some reason. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, between Walmart delivery and Walmart grocery pickup, the one you do outside real quick. I haven't been inside a Walmart in years. Cindy says these quant analysts are having fun with all the economic data. There's certainly a lot of it, right? There certainly has been a lot. And Cindy, one of the things I think people are getting more and more fearful of is, can we trust the data, right? I mean, there's clearly been personnel changes or personnel actions that are a little concerning, right? What happens when people lose confidence in data? Kind of scary, right? Kind of scary. I mean, we were just talking about the CPI numbers, but those are put out by the BLS, right? And the BLS has been a target recently, right? Fortunately, we do have other numbers that come out, like from the University of Michigan or from other independent researchers, right? So hopefully that data remains a little bit more reliable. But I think that for us as data professionals, we kind of have to start, maybe not quite questioning it yet, but certainly being a little bit more cautious around it, right? Leo says, I think that's a very dangerous affirmation. I agree with you, Leo. Very scary, right? What happens when you can't trust data? A lot of models kind of fall apart, right? So yeah, the confidence interval drops, right? That's something that we haven't really talked a lot about, but confidence intervals are there for a reason, right? So what happens when you can still produce numbers, but now your margin of error increases, right? Remember, confidence interval and margin of error go hand in hand, right? You really can't have one without the other, right? So what happens then, right? I mean, it's kind of interesting, right? What happens when, like, the headline number, right? Whatever you hear on CNN is the same, but the asterisk that the researcher puts on it says, oh, but wait, but by the way, the margin of error has increased, right? Yes, unemployment is still 5%, but it's a less sure 5% because of the margin of error. But nobody talks about the margin of error, right? So what do you do then? What does the world of data and models and predictions and all that look like when that happens? Scary, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that kind of scares me a little bit. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that, but definitely something to worry about for the future, right? What happens when that data becomes shaky? How do you adjust for that? Like, do you just move to another data source? Maybe. Leo says, well, regarding financial data, it's bad. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. For sure. And that's kind of sad, right? Because if you go back to your high school economics classes, right? All your high school microeconomics and macroeconomics and the studying of systems, what is one of the tenets of capitalism? One of the tenets of capitalism, free markets, is openly and widely available information, right? Because that's what creates a perfect market, because everybody has the same level of information, same level of accurate, widely available information, right? So what happens then? Scary, scary. Cindy says, it does. I can see the layman not trusting any data. Um, Cindy, does the layman care about that though? See, the layman is who I'm worried about. They're not going to know that the margin of error is different. They're just going to hear, oh, unemployment 7% or whatever. Well, I guess they wouldn't report. I guess they'd report 4%, right? They'd report a favorable number. But the layman's not going to know that. Wait a minute, the margin of error also went up, so danger, danger, right? So Cindy, I think it's the layman that I'm worried about most. Like, they're going to be kind of ignorant to that. They're just going to hear like that headline number, the top line number, yeah. So that's kind of what I'm worried about. But I'm open to being wrong. So let me know if you have further thoughts on that, or anybody else in the chat. But it's the layman that I'm worried about, that they won't know what that means. They'll just be at the airport looking up at the CNN, and the CNN little scroll box, or that, what is that called? The ticker on CNN just says, "Hey, great unemployment numbers," right? So I'm happy to be wrong about that. So let me know what you guys think. But yeah, it raises an interesting question, right? What do we, as data professionals, as non-lay people, right? What are we going to do about it? Is there something we can do about it? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't thought about this enough. But something to think about, yeah? Potentially scary. Cindy says, more like, I do not care about what the data says. I have my personal experience. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, all data is local, right? On how you feel about it, right? Um, but I don't want to look too many steps ahead, but that also raises some concern though, right, Cindy? Because if the market and the tickers on CNN, they're telling you that you're at 4% unemployment, excuse me, but you and everybody else around you is unemployed, are you going to feel pretty good about that 4% number? Probably not, right? Would that lead to some sort of negative outcome? Maybe, maybe not. Right? I don't know. Maybe that's too many steps ahead, right? Maybe I'm being a little too cynical there. I'm open to being called cynical. I've been called that before. But that's just my immediate thought, Cindy. Yeah, and for those of you guys wondering, the Chick-fil-A coffee is still terrible. The lower you go, the more terrible it gets. There's way too much ice in here. I should have gone and seen my girls at Starbucks. They treat me well there. But I didn't feel like making a second stop, so that's my fault. Leo says, haha. Yeah, this coffee's not good. Both Cindy and Leo are laughing at that. Yeah, it's not good coffee. I should have gone and seen my girls at Starbucks. I had my first pumpkin spice of the season earlier this week. Man, I'll be damned if pumpkin spice is not tasty. Casual Economist says, "Do you have a nickname at Starbucks?" I do not. I do not. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? They just know me as the guy who gets there way too early and I always have my dog with me, so they always notice my dog. But yeah, no, they don't have a nickname for me that I know of. Um, Leo says just arrived at DD. Leo, you know what? Dunkin' Donuts is not as big a thing on the West Coast as it is on the East Coast. On the East Coast, there's a Dunkin' Donuts every block, right? Out here, it's not a thing. Or I guess it's just called Dunkin', right? It's not Dunkin' Donuts anymore. I think there's only a couple in all of Las Vegas, and the one near me is like a few miles away. So yeah, out here it's Starbucks or Starbucks or some independent place, but that's it. Leo says what? Yeah, Leo. Dunkin' is only a thing on the East Coast. I mean, they're out here. Don't get me wrong. People know them, but they are nowhere near as popular as they are on the East Coast. I mean, when I was in college, there was a Dunkin' like every block, right? Or when I was in the New York area, there's Dunkins, right? But out here, it's just not a thing. Not a thing. Yeah, it's just never quite made it all the way out here. Also, here in Las Vegas, we have a lot of really good independent donut shops. Like we still have like mom and pop donut shops that are pretty good. So most people do prefer those. I remember when I was at IBM at Starbucks. When I was at IBM, why did I say Starbucks just now? When I was at IBM, we had Friday donuts, and we rotated on who brought in the donuts. And the rule was you couldn't go to any large chains. You had to go to an independent donut shop. That was the rule. Um, but yeah, I mean, there are just so many independent shops out here that I think people just don't go to Dunkin'. Trust me when I say Dunkin's coffee is better than Starbucks. Everybody says that, but I like my Starbucks. Sorry, guys, but I love my Starbucks. It's just something about the taste and just the quality of it. And also, Leo, I drink decaf coffee. Well, not all the time, but most of the time I drink decaf. And Starbucks has a pretty good decaf. I don't think that Dunkin' has a good decaf. But yeah, I try to watch my caffeine intake. So yeah, it's just not common out here. Just not common out here, Leo. Like even with all the large hotels and stuff, you would think that somebody would be buying Dunkin' franchises and putting them in hotels, but you are 10 times more likely to find a Starbucks in a hotel than you are a Dunkin'. Maybe 100 times more likely. Like even now, I can only think of one Dunkin' in a hotel, and that's it. But I can think of like 20 Starbucks in the hotels on the strip. Ty says Starbucks Pikes Roast. Absolutely. And they make a decaf of the Pikes. So that's usually my drink, a grande decaf Pike. But yeah, Pikes Roast from Starbucks. In case you guys haven't had it, kind of hard to beat. It's like, and I know there's people out there with the espresso machines and all that. You see all those silly videos on Instagram. So I'm not saying I'm a coffee snob because I know that there's other like big time coffee snobs. But Starbucks Pike is kind of hard to beat. Kind of hard to beat. Leo says, I don't like Starbucks, just say. Who hurt you, Leo? Leo, this is a safe space, Leo. We're here to listen and not judge. So, Leo, who hurt you? You can tell us that your parents left you in a Starbucks when you were 6 years old. That's okay. You're in a safe space. You're among friends. We got good people like Casual Economists and Cindy and Ty. We're all here to listen. So Leo, whatever you feel like sharing, whatever your heart tells you that you want to share, you're among friends. This is a non-judgment zone. So we're here to help you, Leo. And if the right now is not the right time, that's okay. There's phone numbers you can call. But you're among friends, Leo. Hang in there. Casual Economist says, "What do you get at DD, Leo?" Yeah, Leo. What are you getting there? That's so much better than Starbucks. So come on, Leo. Let us know your order. What's the order? Leo says medium ice latte, regular milk, No sugar and a Beck on a bagel. Okay, I'm on board with the Beck, right? The Beck is definitely an East Coast thing that should be a West Coast thing. Um, Iced latte, I'm on board with that. Regular milk, okay. No sugar. You could be getting all of that at Starbucks, though. Like that's like a Starbucks drink. Leo says, "Am I blacklisted right now?" No, 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 Leo. We 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 are not the kind of people that leave a friend in pain behind. We leave no person behind here, Leo. You've expressed that you are in a special emotional place. So we are here to support you. We don't leave people behind. So Leo, whatever your heart tells you that you want to share about what's brought you to this moment, we're here for you. We listen and we don't judge, Leo. Casual Economist said, I'm going to try Leo's breakfast next week. Yeah, okay. What was that again? A latte, regular milk, no sugar, and a Beck. I'm on board with the Beck. I might have a Beck at some point next week. And a Chick-fil-A breakfast. Ashtush, welcome. Ashtush, I think it might be your first time. I'm with Leo. Best coffee I've ever had was at a random gas station in Kansas. That's too just black coffee, just saying. Yeah, Ashtush. You know, it's funny you say that, Ashtush, because sometimes you do come across gas stations where it's like they just have good food, right? Like they'll just randomly have good food. Um, and I'm definitely guilty of buying coffee and snacks at a gas station because I love taking road trips. And then I stop at a gas station, then I don't stop for another 300 miles, right? So I definitely stock up on coffee and snacks. But yeah, you just never know where you're going to find good coffee, especially in Kansas. Geez, right? That too, just black coffee. Yeah, yeah. I definitely like my black decaf, but I'm telling you, the decaf pike is the way to go at Starbucks. But Ashters, thanks for jumping into the conversation. Good to have you. Leo says, it could be worse. I could also be a Java developer. Remember, folks. That's true, Leo. That's true. But, you know, obviously there are some places that have affected you to be so against Starbucks, right? Right. So let us know, Leo. Like is there an ex-wife involved in that, or an ex-girlfriend involved in why you don't want like Starbucks? Who hurt you, Leo? Let us know. Um, Good coffee in Kansas, LOL. Yeah, but you know what? That happens, right? Every once in a while you come across like some hidden gem, right? Casual Economist says gas station food for trucking routes is pretty decent. Yeah, it can be. It definitely can. You know what? And this is a good opportunity. Shout out to Love's Truck Stops. You know what? I hate those consumer apps. You know, the ones that track your spending and put your phone number. I hate those apps. But I did recently allow myself to sign up for the Love's Truck Stops because I like them. I like them a lot. They have good gas, cheap gas that runs well in my car because I'm very particular about what gas I use in my car. But then they also have dog parks, so I can take my dog into the dog park and he can, you know, have some fun. And then they have clean restrooms. Their food sucks. You know, their food is not great. But definitely, whenever I go on road trips, that's my truck stop to stop at because it's so convenient to have everything for my dog and the good gas. So yeah, definitely hear you on that, Casual Economist. Leo says, haha. Well, I'm glad you're having fun with it, Leo. We're just messing with you. But yeah, you know, you're gonna have to grab that Starbucks for my cold dead hands. I've been a gold star at Starbucks for like ages. My spending there is way too high, way too high. I also own their stock. I'm very bullish on Starbucks stock, so I still own some of their stock. But you know, that's not financial advice, guys. I'm just saying what I do for my portfolio. But yeah, yeah, you know, it's funny how you'll find different good coffee and good food all around. Um, yeah, I mean, it's embarrassing to share this, but you know, one of my guilty pleasures in life is when you stop at a gas station and they have like the rolling hot dogs, and you get a couple hot dogs at a gas station. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I've had a couple of gas station hot dogs in my lifetime. There's worse things in the world. There's worse addictions you could have in the world. But man, I like a good gas station hot dog. Leo says, no, I don't like them for real. I don't know why overpriced and bad coffee for me. They're not cheap, Leo. I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Starbucks is not cheap. And you know what's funny about Starbucks? But maybe it's the same for Dunkin'. I don't know. You can tell me, Leo. Have you ever ordered like a grande or a venti at Starbucks? Like, did you guys know the difference is like 10 cents? Like, there's literally no price difference between like the medium and the large. Like, I did that one day when I was like, oh, the venti's too much. Let me order the grande today. And it was like 10 cents cheaper. Like, it was nothing. Their pricing is literally so that you're just going to pay a lot. No matter what you order, it's going to be expensive. But I just thought that was funny. I don't know if you guys have noticed that, but like it's literally just like 10 cents difference between what is it, 4 sizes that they have? Like between the small and the largest, what is it, the Trenti? It's like 25 cents difference, if that. It's like some ridiculously small difference. Leo says venti. Ooh, this is America, Dennis. But do you know how weird they look at you if you say large at Starbucks? Oh, you mean venti? Yes, we have the venti. So you gotta, when in Starbucks, you gotta act like the Starbucks do, right? Casual Economist says gas station hot dog, coffee, and a pack of smoke. I miss those. Well, I did all of those except for the pack of smokes, Casual Economist. I was never a smoker. But yeah, right? I mean, there's something about being on the road, right? That you would say, all right, time for a hot dog and some coffee, right? Like, yeah, I can't lie to you guys. You do not get to be my weight without having a couple of gas station hot dogs in your history, right? But yeah, a good gas station hot dog, Leo says, casual economist just described a good day in a man's life. You know what? Hard to disagree with that, right? Hard to disagree with that. You're pulling out of a gas station with a fresh hot dog, some hot coffee, a pack of smokes, open road ahead of you. That's good living. That's good living. I agree with you, Leo. I agree with you. You got a full tank of gas. You got a couple hot dogs next to you. That's a day that's set up for adventure, right? Ume says, "Hey Dennis, how are you doing?" I'm doing great, Ume. How are you, Ume? I think it's your first time. You're stepping into a chat here with a lot of my great longtime supporters. You know what? And this is the beauty of the roundtable format. We come together and we talk, and sometimes we talk about data, and sometimes we talk about gas station hot dogs and good coffee. So yeah, Ume, welcome. Feel free to let us know a little bit about you if you'd like. But right now we are having a debate between Dunkin' Coffee and Starbucks coffee. But yeah, some coffee, some gas station hot dogs, a little snack. Your dog next to you. Full tank of gas. Your dog's gone to the bathroom. You've gone to the bathroom. You got an open road ahead of you. That's a good day. That is a good day. 100%. 100%. So yeah, maybe you guys are gonna be doing some of that this weekend, or maybe you're gonna be at home studying. It's up to you. But the point is, we got to keep moving forward in life. We got to keep on developing our skills, and good things will come. Right? We got to stay positive. We gotta keep true to our goals, right? Which is not always easy, but yeah. Leo says, "Hell yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely." That's a good day, and it's good. It's good for us to set ourselves up for those good days, right? So whatever that means to you, whether it is taking a road trip or studying or improving some aspect of your life, your family, whatever, just gotta set yourself up for good days, right? That's all we can really hope to do in life, right? So. Hopefully, everyone will try to do that in their own way, for whatever that means to you in your part of the world. But yeah, just got to keep moving forward, guys. Got to keep moving forward. Got to keep a positive attitude, right? So really happy that we've had a lot of interesting discussion today. A lot of back and forth. It kind of feels like a little bit like the older times here with all these great longtime supporters. So thanks so much, guys, for coming. Um, it's funny how the world of social media can have its ebbs and flows and all that. Ume says, I'm doing great too, and also I have been following you for a long time. It's just that I'm not consistent, and also wanted you to know that you post great content. Oh, I appreciate that, Ume. Sincerely appreciate that. Yeah, I have a lot of followers who, they follow me and they subscribe. They may just not participate, or sometimes they email me privately. But yeah, great to have you here, Ume, and sincerely appreciate you supporting my content. I'm just trying to put out good data science content. I'm really passionate about this stuff. I really care about the profession as a whole. So I'm just here to put out good content. That's all I want to do. And I was talking to another friend recently about how you know what, guys, let me know what you think about this. But I'm basically going to start calling myself semi-retired. I think I'm semi-retired now. I'm still pretty young. At least I think so. But like I don't see myself going back to corporate life. I've done just about everything I wanted to in that world. I have an audience now that lets me talk about my passion. So this doesn't really work for me, right? So I think I'm going to call myself semi-retired from now on. I don't know. It feels about right because I'm just passionate about this stuff and I get to sit here and talk with good people like you. So this isn't work. So I might as well just tell people I'm retired. Casual Economist says, yeah, this is fun. Yeah, Casual Economist, and I appreciate all your contributions. You're such a great supporter. Thanks so much. And let us know how that Chick-fil-A goes. Leo says, also, any plans of doing any Sunday meetings like the good old times? Yeah, Leo, that's a good question. And by the way, Falconer, welcome. I think it's your first time here. Welcome. Leo says, also, any plans? Yeah, Sunday meetings. Yeah, so for those of you guys that don't know, Leo is referring to the tutorial series that I used to do on Sundays. And that's a little bit more of a deeper dive. It tends to be a longer stream. It's usually at least 2 hours. We've gone 3+ hours before. And it's a very specific topic, and it's like a multi-week effort. So Leo, I definitely want to get back to those. But at the same time, Leo, I think those have been good because like the ideas for them and like the agenda for them kind of comes to me organically. So I don't want to say that I'm waiting for inspiration, but I'm kind of just holding off for the right time, for like when it feels right, like I'm waiting for the universe to speak to me and say, hey, why don't we do this, And I know there's been requests, somebody requested robotics, and I think I know some things I want to do around robotics, but I don't know. It's just, we're going to get back to it, Leo. I just don't know when, right? Because I do enjoy those, and I still get a little bit choked up about it, but I think that the neural network series was some of the best training and best content I've ever done in my life. Especially like the last 3-4 weeks. I mean, if you guys go back to those, we had some great discussions, great people joining in. So to me, that was like, I don't want to say the peak of my content creation because I'm obviously still going to continue, but that was really fun. Like, yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, I don't want to tell the other story, but it was a good one. So, we'll get back to it, Leo. I'm just kind of waiting for the right time or the right inspiration to strike. But we'll see. We'll see. Leo says, those were a great time together with friends. Yeah, they were. And, and I think it was genuinely good content, too. Like the last 3-4 weeks of that neural network series, I'm super proud of that. Like on a professional level, I'm super proud of that. So yeah, we'll get back to it, Leo. Just bear with me. I'm trying this format. I'm also doing a lot more vertical streaming, and you know that the tutorials are widescreen, and they will be widescreen. But just trying different things, different formats. But we'll get back to that at some point on Sundays. I appreciate you keeping me accountable to that, Leo, because I know you were also a fan of them, and you're a great supporter. We'll get back to them. Just give it some time. Cindy says, I do think you are young. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too, right? For those of you guys that don't know, I'm 48, you know. So, I got a lot of gray hair down here, which I hate about my goatee. I like having a goatee, but the goatee really concentrates my white hair down here. But I'm 48. I certainly could still go back to the corporate world if I wanted to, but I think I'm just gonna call myself retired. And just kind of keep on doing this with all the great people like you. Obviously, I'll still do my one-on-one coaching because I love that. I have great clients like Cindy and Ty in the chat. Really enjoy working with people like them. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the future holds. Leo says, "Okay, I'll give you a venti coffee or whatever when you're back." Okay. So Leo is offering me a Starbucks when I come back for Sundays. I don't know, Leo. The thing though, I'm saying that they're a lot of fun to do, and I think I did genuinely good instruction, but they take a little bit of time for me to put together, right? Like I still have to sit here and be like, okay, what am I going to talk about this week? What is the natural flow that I want to teach, right? Because sometimes I see it in my head, but then I got to actually execute on it, right? That's not always easy for me. So I think I might need more than just one venti. I might need more than just one venti, Leo. We'll see about that. Dennis is a great teacher. Oh, Ty, I appreciate that. Thank you. I try. I try. Yeah. Um, so the story I was hesitating about earlier, you guys didn't know this, but during the neural network series, my parents were living with me because they were looking for a house here in Las Vegas, or they were here. You guys know because of the fire and all that. So my parents were here with me, and I think it was like the second to last week or the third to last week. They were here, but I asked them to keep the noise down while I was teaching, and so they heard me do the whole thing, my whole Sunday session, and it was like almost 3 hours. And I come from a family of teachers. That's why I think I'm a pretty good teacher. Both of my parents are teachers. So they heard the whole session. They were in the other room, like in the kitchen or whatever, but they heard the whole session. And like after that session, my mother told me that she said I did really good. So like my mother taught in LA Unified School District for like 30 years, something like that. Like 30 plus years. So if she told me that was a good session, then yeah, that was pretty special. But anyways, um, Leo says, "Come on, Dennis, you're a great mentor and teacher." I appreciate that. Thank you. I try, guys. Just trying to put out good content. That's it. Okay, 2 ventis and some pumpkin loaf. How did you know I like the pumpkin loaf? The pumpkin loaf is delicious at Starbucks. Once again, you do not get to be overweight without having a bit of pumpkin loaf in your background. So yeah, pumpkin loaf is pretty cool. Um, Philip, welcome back. How are you? You were here like earlier this week or last week, right? How are you, Philip? Good to see you back. You were a new follower last week, but it's good to see you back. Um, wow, she was a teacher. Yeah, both. I come from a family of teachers. I've said that a couple times before, I think. But yeah, both of my parents were teachers for a long time. Uh, Philip says, "Good to be back." Good to see you too, Philip. I know that you were here, and then you also saw me on Instagram. So glad that you're here, my friend. Hope everything is well for you. I think you were from was it like you were from Scandinavia somewhere, right? Was it Finland you were from or something like that, or Denmark maybe? But I know you said you were from that part of the world. Yeah, my glasses are so dirty. Denmark. Okay, yeah. I remember now. Yeah, I was right. I knew it was Finland or Denmark or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, so lots to think about. Different coffees to try, different Sunday ideas to float around. But we'll get back to the Sundays, Leah, and I'm really glad you're keeping me accountable, you and other people in the chat. But we'll see. We'll see when we get back to that. It would be fun. It would be fun. The timing has to be right. Leo says, "How's the data industry in Denmark, Phil?" That's a good question. That's a real good question. I love the curiosity there. So what else is on people's minds? We've had people jumping in and out, which is awesome. Good conversation today, guys. We're coming up on an hour here. Philip says, good question. I have no idea. Well, start there, Philip. Go out and find out what the industry is like. Go out and report back. Let us know how you're doing. Or how the data industry is doing, right? I mean, that's a good way to start your own career or your own studies, right? What's the local market like? So, Philip, I know you indicated that you were a little bit newer to data science, but you were definitely more than just data curious. So maybe that's a good way to kind of dip your toe in the water, right? So what do you think about that, Philip? I say that because I think last time you mentioned, kind of wanting to get something going, right? You wanted to shake some things up, right? Bloom where you're planted, Philip, and start finding what's local to you. Leo says, "Yeah, time flies. Time always." Okay, I can't read. Time always flies when we're online. Yeah, for sure, Leo, for sure. Good to be with friends again. Absolutely, yeah. Join us in Discord if you want, Philip, if you're not. A good idea, Leo. Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, for sure. Time flies. I mean, speaking of those Sunday tutorials, I can't believe how quickly we would go to 2 hours, right? 2 hours and in 3 hours. I think we almost went for 4 hours in one session. It's crazy how much it goes. But at the same time, guys, I'm involved in these YouTube boot camps. Where like YouTube brings in these experts to talk to creators that are showing promise or whatever. And we recently had one where the person started with an icebreaker, and the icebreaker was how many hours do you stream a week? And I'm like at 10 to 12. So I raised my hand, 10 to 12. There are people out there that are streaming for like 300 hours a month. Like insane numbers, right? Like, whoa, like when do you sleep? I mean, I was just blown away by that, because I know what I do and I know how much energy it takes for me, right? Because, it's hard sometimes to run these streams. Like after those 3-hour streams on Sundays, I'm done. I go, I get my soup, I do my little food, I watch my streaming series. Nobody talk to me. I need to what is it called? Recharging that extrovert energy that I just used, right? Like nobody talk to me. I just want to sit here. And that's 3 hours. But there are people out there streaming like 300 a month. Like ridiculous hours. Like I could not imagine that people who are doing that. So, I mean, yeah, it's fun to do those, but there are people out there that are just killing it on the streaming side. Killing it. Philip says, where is the best money to make in the industry? That would be a great start. Philip, the best money is always going to be where you have your interest. Now, keep in mind, best money does not always equal fast money, right? Because you ask for best, not for fast, right? So keep in mind, right? But the best money for your life is always going to be in something that you enjoy. Okay? Keep that in mind. World in Palm, welcome. I think it's your first time. Welcome, World in Palm. You're stepping into a chat with a lot of old timers and a lot of new people. So welcome. World in Palm says, is AI just overhyped? No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If you have a specific scenario where you think it's overhyped, you're welcome to share it, World in Palm. But no, I don't think it's just hype. We're just getting started, and the future is going to be the future of AI will be very, very effective. Casual Economist says 300,000 a month. No, Casual Economist, I'm sorry, I meant to say 300 hours per month that they're streaming. They are actively streaming 300 hours a month, which, if you do the math on it, is pretty insane. And there's also been rumors about that, like, like those super big contracts you hear, like a Drewski, or who's the other one? Who's the other one? Not Speed, but the other one. Oh man, his name escapes me right now. But that has been kind of floated around, that in those big contracts they sign, they have a minimum of like 250 hours of monthly streaming or something like that, like 200 plus hours. Like, just insane numbers. Like, I couldn't imagine doing that. Kai, yep, thank you. Kai, Casual Economist, that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah, but I'm sure Speed also, he does quite a few hours, right? He's no slouch, right? But Kai and Drewski, they have said that their big contracts do require them to be like 200 plus, 250 plus hours a month. Philip says you have to start somewhere. Yeah, absolutely, Philip. Philip, you're hitting on a key point there. Just get started. Just get started. Don't worry about the money. Don't worry about, I got to learn cloud. I got to get these 5 certificates before I start. I got to get a new machine. Just get started. Just get started. Take a step in that direction of your goals, right? Casual Economist says, wait, let me do the math. Yeah, do the math, Casual Economist, and it gets scary real quick, right? Because think about it, 30 days in a month, that's 10 hours a day, every single day, no breaks, no weekends, right? And what happens when you're sick for like just 2 days? Well, now you're 20 hours behind. How the heck do you make up 20 hours, right? Even one day off, you're 10 hours behind, off pace. What are you going to do then? I mean, it's too much. Siddhant, welcome, my friend. Siddhant, you were new a couple weeks ago. Now you're a regular. Thanks for coming back. How are you, Siddhant? We're having a great chat today. World in Palm says, please share your views over AI growth and impact on people losing jobs and economic collapse. Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, guys. We were having a nice, peaceful chat about coffee, but now World in Palm wants to get violent. Yeah, World in Palm, I think that if that's where you think AI is headed, you're probably not too far off. I mean, I don't know if I'd say, economic collapse. But, in my interview series, I did interview an executive in Nashville. She asked me to not say the company she works for, but she works for a very, very, very large online retailer who all of you probably order from, so you can guess who that is. And her feeling was that there will be universal basic income at some point, and that's what I think also. She has expressed the opinion that I most align with. We probably will have to have discussions about universal basic income at some point, because we will reach a point where there will be a significant number of people without jobs. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not sure if that means economic collapse, calamity in the streets and every person for themselves. I'm not sure, I'd take it that far. But will there be fundamental changes? Sure. I think that's a reasonable conclusion to reach, as far as one of the possible conclusions. Yeah. So yeah, maybe not the world's best scenario, but yeah. Leo says, I don't know. That sounds like a utopia stuff for me. Yeah, you're right, Leo. For some people, that sounds great, right? I mean, for some people want universal basic income no matter whether it's AI driven or not, right? Because there is that theory that people would pursue their passions, people would pursue more art, people would, use that money for growth or some sort of enrichment, I guess you could say, right? So yeah, I mean, there's been UBI discussions even before AI, right? Maybe AI will just make them more serious or accelerate their pace. But yeah, yeah. So World and Palm, let us know if you have a differing opinion. That's totally okay. We welcome differing views. Nobody's here to judge. But yeah, I mean, if you have a different view, let us know. But UBI, I think, I'd give it I'd give it better than even odds that it's going to be in our future at some point. Leo says, well, inflation is already giving me the chills. That's just not possible. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against inflation right now, guys. No matter who says what, whatever you hear on the news, I don't want to get into it too much. But yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against inflation, right? There's no doubt that things have gotten significantly more expensive. I mean, ground beef is like $8 a pound now. That was not the case just a couple years ago, and there's no arguing that, right? I mean, and if you're snobby like me and you like the grass-fed, stuff, I mean, you're paying like more than $10 a pound now, right? That was not the case just a few years ago. So, Philip says the first group of people without jobs will be developers for sure. Absolutely, Philip. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. Programming will be solved. Programming will 100% be solved. And it is laughable to me when I see those developers, especially on X, they seem to congregate on X, who say, oh, AI is not going to replace me. Well, it will. It absolutely will. It 100% will. So yeah, Philip, I totally agree with you. I mean, and you see that in the guide I put out for college students. I mean, I in my guide, I said, hey, if you're a computer science graduate, you should be worried right now. You should be thinking about changing majors. Especially if you're just starting out and you're trying to project where AI will be in 4 years by the time you graduate, you would be foolish, downright foolish to be a freshman in a computer science program right now. In 4 years, you're gonna be graduating into a job that will like 99.95 be done by AI. Like, why would you do that to yourself? Like if you're a freshman CS student right now and you're continuing down that path, you should have your head examined. You really should. Leo says, no, I mean inflation considering universal income. Oh, you mean that the universal income is not possible because of inflation? Or Leo, let me know. Obviously, I'm misunderstanding something. But you're saying that universal income is not possible because of inflation. Well, I mean, we'd have to talk about the levels, right? I mean, what does UBI look like? I know that it's been tried and all that, but it's been tried in relatively small amounts, right? Like, I think the last trial I heard, it was like $500 a month or something like that. Leo says one of the things, yes. Okay. But Leo, we haven't discussed the amounts though, right? Like, we don't know what that amount would be. But yes, I mean, obviously, I'm talking about, relatively substantial payments, like more than just a couple thousand a month, right? And I don't think it's been tried, at least not in the US that I know of, on that large of a scale. World and Palm says, my point was everything is connected. One loses a job, he spends less. Impact is across the board. Sure. Of course. But World and Palm, that's not AI, right? What you're describing is classic Keynesian economics, right? The trickle down and trickle up effect. So yeah, you're absolutely right about that, but that's not exclusive to AI. The part that would be exclusive to AI is that it would cause the largest unemployment numbers that we've ever seen ever. Well, maybe not the Great Depression, but in modern times, right? And I had this conversation with another business leader when I was on retreat. I went on the leadership retreat at the beginning of August or whatever it was. And that was one of those discussions I had with him about how I'm worried that people think that the AI impact, the AI collapse, whatever you want to call it, it's not going to be an event. It's going to be something that happens over time. And all of a sudden, we're going to wake up and say, wow, 20% of people are unemployed. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to be a snake bite. It's going to be a boa constrictor that's going to squeeze over time, right? So that's my fear, that it's going to kind of just like sneak up on us, right? It's not an event. It won't be like a date in history. It'll just be like, whoa, everyone I know is unemployed. Well, what's going on? Like, you're just going to wake up one day and be like, what the heck just happened, right? Yeah, but world and palm, I mean, I agree with you, but that interconnected effect, that's Keynesian economics. That's not AI, right? Philip says, you always have to be multiple steps ahead of the society. You have to outsmart people in technology to secure your future. So example, you shouldn't do data science in the same way as all others. So you have to renew the way things are done and work. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you, Philip. Yeah. I mean, I think that's applicable to everything you do, right? If you're just one swimming in the school of fish, then how do you expect to stand out, right? You can't just do what everyone else is doing and expect good things, right? You can't live an average life and expect extraordinary rewards from that, right? You can't just say, I want to do the same things everybody else is doing. I want to do the same thing my friends are doing. I want to follow the same path everybody's on. But I want to fly business class and stay at nice hotels every time I go on vacation. Like, you can't do that, right? So yeah, I hear you, Philip. But I would apply that to all aspects of your life, right? Leo says, you know what? That would be a great study, the economic impacts of universal income. Housing prices, rate markets, inflation, considering number of jobs would always be near zero, considering large scale, correction trending towards zero. Leo, I don't know it for a fact, but I think there's already been some studies. Because keep in mind, when I say that it's never been tried on a large scale, I was referring to the US. But I want to say that I've heard that there's some places in Europe that have tried it on a larger scale. I want to say Germany for some reason. That's just kind of sticking in my mind. But Leo, I'd be surprised if you couldn't already find some studies on that. Right? I think that you'd already find something on that, Leo. So I know you're a smart guy. You probably know how to, search things already. But I'd be really surprised if there wasn't already like fairly well-developed studies / white papers on universal basic income. So let me know, Leo. I'd be interested in knowing that just for my own knowledge. But yeah, Leo says I'll check them later. Yeah, you're a smart guy. You'll come up with something. But yeah, I mean, I think the studies are already out there. Philip says also very interesting about the dead internet theory. Philip, remind me of that. I obviously I've heard of that topic, but I'm not sure if I've ever been 100% clear on what that means, because there's always kind of like variations on that dead internet theory that I've heard. So let me know what you mean by that. But I think the latest or the iteration that I understand is that nothing is new, right? That basically, there's nothing concretely new being added to the internet. Isn't that the part of the dead internet theory? I'm open to being wrong on that. World and Palm says, I think it's time to move into business domain soon. Let me know what you mean by that, World and Palm. Do you mean that it means running your own business? I think that's definitely a good thing, right? I think that being self-employed will be more and more valuable in the near future. I don't know if that's exactly what you meant, but let me know. But if that's what you meant, I am 100% agree with that, right? Definitely a good time to start thinking about self-employment or some sort of business that you own, that you manage, that is you and only you. Definitely a lot of benefits to that. Definitely. Philip says it's like the internet getting useless because of AI and bots. So there's not enough real stuff anymore. So at one point we would consider the internet too messed up to be used. Oh, okay, okay, that's right. Yeah, that's right. There is an element of bots to that, isn't there? Yeah, that's right. That it's just bots talking back and forth to each other, right? Philip, I mean, obviously, I think there's probably pretty good grounding for that. I'm thinking about kind of my own experience with that. And I guess what jumps to my mind is the advertising that I do for my business, because I do invest in some advertising for my coaching and my social media accounts, right? And there are some advertising methods that I will never, ever, ever use again. I will never, ever, ever spend another dollar on Google AdWords. I am convinced that Google has click farms out there, bots pumping up their numbers. I will never invest another dollar in Google AdWords. Having said that, I will invest in meta ads, because with meta ads, I have much better tracking of knowing where my ad dollars went and who saw my content and things like that. And there are real people behind it. Meta has generated real business for me. It's much more auditable that way, right? Because when they say, hey, you paid for this click and that person followed you, I can go back and I can look at that person's profile and say, oh yeah, that's a normal person, they got pictures of their vacations and their family. And okay, cool. Like my advertising worked. I got a real person, right? So yeah, I think that you're right in some aspects, but in other aspects, I'm much more optimistic that there still are real people out there, right? Now, having said that, I know AI is going to be able to create super realistic profiles, super realistic conversations, and all that. I get it. But yeah, I think it's a mix. So I think that there are some foundings for the dead internet theory, but I'm not 100% with it just yet, because I'm still seeing situations where I still have very real connections, right? And also, I mean, Philip, if you want to make it a little bit more personal, a little bit more anecdotal, look at you. Look at you right here. You didn't discover my content or my community until what, last week? And now you're back, and now you're meeting good people like Leo and Ty and Cindy and World and Palm, all the good people in the chat. No dead internet here, right? I mean, I can vouch for everybody that you're talking to. We're not bots, right? So, there's still positives out there, right? There's still positives. There's still real people out there. Leo says, "Oh, that's for sure." Yeah, Leo, I think you wrote that in regards to the Google advertising and all that. But yeah, I mean, I will never, ever, ever spend another dollar on Google advertising ever. I think there is a very serious non-zero probability that Google AdWords is a scam on some level. Philip says, you can say that Google and Meta ads are just tools, but Google ads is ridiculous difficult to do well and get good results, but there's a lot of companies who take your money and are not professional. Sure, Philip. But Philip, but as ironic as it sounds, doesn't that kind of prove that the internet is real though, right? Because would a bot be out to steal your money? Maybe, maybe not, right? I mean, I don't know. I'd have to think about that a little bit more. But yeah, but I mean, there's also bad influencers though, right? Who are real people. They're not bots. They just suck at what they do, right? So I don't know, Philip. I mean, I definitely don't misunderstand me. I'm not disagreeing with you. I just think that there's still some elements that are still very, very personal, right? I mean, look at our great community here, right? And you know, I've built a coaching business where I have very real, very personal conversations with people about their careers and their jobs and their fears and their families. That's all very real, right? So yeah. Philip says, but are we in the matrix? Maybe. Maybe. Philip says, are we even alive? Casual Economist says, I'm a bot. Casual Economist, there's no need to state the obvious. What is already known does not need to be said, Casual Economist. You know what, Philip? You're kind of also talking about like the whole simulation theory and all that. I don't know how I feel about the simulation theory and all that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm 100% comfortable, you know, with the theory that there's other dimensions or other what is it? Other parallel worlds, right? That we're living in another world. You know, there's another me and all that. I don't know if I'm 100% bought into that. I don't know if I'm 100% bought into that. And maybe I'm not bought into it because it's pretty scary, right? Because what if that stuff is true? Like, what does that mean about a lot of things, right? I don't know. I don't know. Leo says, well, how sure are we you're not an AI model created by our Lord Elon to guide us? Yeah, maybe, right? Maybe. But you know, Leo, that is part of the fear, right? That everything I just said about Meta will be false in the future because there will be highly, highly, highly advanced AI that can create profiles that you could never distinguish, right? They'll create, excuse me, an entire profile, entire backstories, hundreds of pictures, excuse me, videos, right? I mean, that is coming, right? That is coming for sure. It scares the brown out of me that we actually probably are in a black hole. Yeah, you're right, Philip. I have heard those theories too, right? That the universe is really, we're not understanding anywhere near the complexity of it, right? That our entire universe and everything we think we see could still be within another massive black hole or something. That is scary for sure, for sure. All right, Leo says, all right, Philip, that's enough UT for today. Go back to your study. Yeah, Philip, you're kind of scaring us a little bit. You're kind of scaring us a little bit. We're turning into every bad Joe Rogan podcast that's out there, right? All these crazy theories. Yeah, you guys know that I stay in my lane. I keep it to data science. But I am a man of faith. I do believe in a higher power above. And some of these simulation theories and all that, you know, are kind of scary for that, right? Like, what does that really mean then, right? Like, are we really just a science experiment in some child's, you know, sixth grade class, right? Because that's part of that, right? That we are so we think we're big, but we are so infinitely small that we are, you know, just a speck of dust in some kid's science fair project, right? Like, you guys remember that Men in Black movie where it turns out the entire universe is in the chain of a little cat, right? Like how do we know that's not true, right? And what does that mean? Jeez, right? Leo says, geez, and hashtag think deep. Oh, that's hilarious. The truth is out there. Yeah, it is, Leo, but do we really want it, right? It'd be scary. You know, maybe the real truth is scary, right? Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what that all means with the simulation theories, the parallel universes, the black holes, the Yellowstone caldera, the pill-shaped UAPs that are diving into the ocean because there's ocean bases out there. Don't look above, look below. I mean, there's so many rabbit holes to go down, right? So many rabbit holes. Philip says Data is watching us. Yeah. Or at least Palantir, right? Now, you shouldn't say Data is watching us. You should say Peter Thiel is watching us, right? That psychopath. See, we got psychopaths watching us. Leo says, well, if I'm a bot, they did a pretty bad job. But Leo, what if you're only one of 10,000 bots, right? Because the simulation theory would say that there's other simulations out there. You're just a failed simulation, right? You're one of the false positives or whatever. But there's other Leo bots out there that are doing really well, right? So where does that leave you, right? So yeah, think about that. Casual Economist says, my algorithm never sends me those videos. Really? I get these all the time. Well, at least I do on TikTok. You know, speaking of data that watches you, the TikTok algorithm is insane, right? Like the TikTok algorithm knows exactly what to feed you at the right time. So, Casual Economist, maybe you just don't use TikTok, but if you want to go down these rabbit holes, you'll get there. Just go on TikTok and watch a couple things, and TikTok knows exactly where to hit you. They know exactly what they're doing. So Peter Thiel and the powers of TikTok are definitely watching us. Philip, if you want to say that data is watching us, for sure, that is for sure, right? But yeah, so many things to think about. Think about, guys. I mean, I just don't know where a lot of these things leave us, because I mean, I'm assuming you guys also saw the videos this week about the UFOs, right? The one UFO that was hit by a missile, and the missile basically bounced off it, and the UFO didn't even stop, right? So what does that mean? Jeez. Um, a casual economist says, I get OF girls, cybersecurity, and like dating advice. I'm not even single or on OF. Um, but casual economist, not being on OF is not the same as using OF. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It takes two people to be on OF, the performer and the buyer. So you already told us you're not the performer, so I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Leo says, well, hope they're doing better though. I need to be refurbished. Maybe we all need to be refurbished, Leo, right? Maybe our entire universe right now is one of the bad simulations as a whole, right? We didn't get the breathing underwater package in this simulation, right? But in other simulations, they're able to breathe underwater, so they're doing better than us, right? I mean, how do we know that's not the case, right? In other simulations, the human like race as a whole is doing better than us. They got the flying package. We didn't get the flying package, right? So maybe our entire version of the simulation or instance of the simulation could be doing better, right? Casual economist says, and I don't work in cybersecurity, and I don't use OF. Oh yeah, sure. Nobody uses OF. Yeah, casual economist. Yeah, nobody uses it. Yeah, they're just making $10 billion a year because nobody's using it. Sure, buddy. All my money went to the state fair. Yeah, well, I'm sure the state fair was expensive, right? Nothing is cheap nowadays, guys, right? Nothing is cheap, right? So yeah, I'm sure you did spend quite a bit at the state fair. No question about that. I would have done the same. But like I told you, out here, the state fair is like a one weekend. Like it's nothing. So you're lucky to be there where there's a large state fair. Joseph, how are you, Joseph? Joseph, you're joining at such a good time. It's a long time supporters reunion. Thanks for being here, Joseph. Joseph says, "Hey Dennis, I hope you're doing well." I'm doing great, my friend. So good to see you in the chat again. It's been a while, but we got a lot of people you'll recognize. So thanks for being here, Joseph. Leo says, "Yeah, yeah, Leo. You know, maybe we're just in a bad simulation as a whole. You know, the simulation where the humans can breathe underwater and fly and all that. I mean, you know, we talked about this one time at work. What is the superpower you would choose? And I would 100% choose teleportation, right? I would work in New York during the day and have a house in Hawaii and just teleport back and forth, right? So maybe in other universes, Leo, they can do teleportation. Like how much better would life would be if humans could teleport at any time? I mean, that'd be awesome, right? But maybe they can in other ones, right? Leo says, "Yeah, we're a failed MVP." Yeah, maybe we are, right? Because if you think that there are other simulations, what's to say that we're one of the good ones, right? There have to be better ones. And there's probably ones that aren't so great, right? Maybe in another simulation, humans don't have arms, right? But yeah, like, what's to say we're one of the good simulations? Maybe we're not, right? Yeah. So you never know, right? Joseph says, definitely seeing many common names. Hope everyone is well too. Yeah, Joseph, I think everyone's doing real well. Thanks. High five to my YouTube data family. Nice, casual economist. Loving the communal spirit there. Nice. Philip says, but for real, what does a data scientist actually do? Like the primary data, I know database SQL. What more than that? Well, Philip, SQL is just a way to obtain data. But what are you going to do with it when you have it? You got to do something with it. So that's where you got to work on your creativity, right? Okay, so you got the data. What then? Usually you got to start with questions, right? What are some of the questions you can come up with the data? That's not a Coursera tutorial, right? You got to work on that. You got to work on your abilities to be curious and say, oh, well, okay, I was just given data about transactions at a grocery store. What can I do with that? That's not a YouTube tutorial. That's you, right? Kieran, how are you? Kieran, I think you've been here before. I can't remember. Why do you think firms don't prefer hiring many data science peeps from undergrad? Because they're not ready. They're not ready. Don't confuse getting a degree with being ready for a job. That's something that I'm talking a lot with my clients nowadays. And I say that because I hear it from my friends that are managing directors. I hear it from my friends that are managing directors that they tell me, Dennis, it's hard for me to find good people. I hire these people and they don't know anything. So that's the reason, Kieran. Don't confuse graduating with being ready for a job. Kieran says, I'm really into data science, have done some stats, data analytics, SQL, and some papers, some really nice projects. So yeah, I'm just trying to break in and it's not happening. Well, what's a really nice project? You don't know that, right? It's nice to you, but is it effective as a display to other people? Maybe, maybe not. What does your resume look like? Have you had people that truly love you give you feedback on your resume? And that's usually not your friends or parents, right? So, Kieran, there's a lot to it, right? You're discussing some of the items that I work with people one-on-one on. That's not a quick answer, right? Like you shouldn't expect that answer to be fixed from a YouTube chat. But how do you know it's a good project? How do you know your resume doesn't suck? Your resume is very likely to suck. I don't know you, I've never seen it, but just playing the numbers, your resume probably sucks. So it's about the work that you're putting in. So I refuse to believe that the jobs aren't out there, but I do believe it takes a more prepared candidate for them. So yeah, that's just the way the market is right now, that's all. So yeah, I hope that's not too discouraging for you. People did give me feedback over LinkedIn and I tried improving as well. But who are they? I mean, if you're serious about getting feedback on your resume, go to your enemies. Go to your enemies and say, hey, tell me how much this sucks. Because they'll tell you how much it sucks. Your parents are going to tell you. Your parents love you too much, right? There was a great... There's a great video out there by Kai Green, the bodybuilder, who I'm sure some of you have heard of. And he talks about this. He says, he talks about your goals and how you and only you have to stay true to your goals. And he talks about how, like, well, I could tell my mother that I want 20-inch arms, but she's still going to love me, even if I don't have 20-inch arms, right? So is that somebody who's really going to keep you accountable to your goals? No, they still love you, right? So you have to make sure that you're out there asking the right people for feedback, right? Because they're still going to love you. Your parents love you too much to tell you, your resume ain't so great, honey. Your best friend doesn't want to rock the boat because, you still owe him $20, so he's not going to give you the honest review on your resume, right? So you got to be careful with that. Got to be careful with that. Cindy says, do you feel that there is a disconnect between recruiters and hiring managers? Absolutely, 100%. 100%. When I was a hiring manager, I just wanted the recruiter to do what was required of them what legally required to them by HR. Like there's legal requirements or policy requirements about the manager being the first contact. They want the first contact to be HR, but then that's it. I want them to do the bare minimum. Just give me the stack of resumes and I'll tell you who I want to talk to. Because there's always a disconnect between the recruiters and the hiring managers. 100%. 100%. Kieran says, one of them was an applied scientist at Amazon and he gave me a call and gave me a reality check. Okay, well, I mean, that's good. But I can't comment on that, right? Because I don't know what you asked them, what they gave you feedback on, so on and so forth, right? But yeah. And also, were they an applied scientist or were they a hiring manager? Because I think that's another thing, kind of related to Cindy's question. There is a difference between getting advice from somebody at a company versus somebody who does hiring at a company, right? At a large company, especially something like Amazon and really like most large established companies, excuse me, there is a difference between somebody who's like on staff versus somebody who does hiring. And they don't take that lightly, right? Like when I was moved into a hiring manager position, I'm given extra training. I'm given extra advice from the legal department. I'm given different advice on who I'm using for my panel interviews, how many panel interviews there can be, whether my people's camera could be on or off. What else? Like a bunch of different things like that, right? So are you getting advice from just somebody who's on staff or somebody who's really in charge of hiring? Like as crazy as it sounds, that's two completely different people in the company. So again, coming back to like Cindy's question, I would say that there's a disconnect between somebody who's just on staff versus somebody who's a hiring manager. So that's another thing, right? He was an applied scientist and he was like, it's shit. Okay, well, there you go, Karen. There you go. I mean, like I said, I don't know you. I've never met you before, but I could tell you that your resume was shit also, right? I mean, and Karen, just so you know, and some of the people who follow me already know this, but I ask my clients to track how many times they're sending out their resume and how many times they're hearing back. Like, like an initial phone call, that number should be about 30%. If that number is not 30%, then 100% guaranteed your resume can have improvements in it, right? So, if you want to use that as a basic marker, go ahead. But you should be having that level of reply, right? If things are on, if you have a good resume and you're applying to appropriate jobs, jobs that you're targeting, right? You should be at like that 30% range. So yeah, keep that in mind. Yeah, it's funny how when you go into management, there really is like a change. Like you're added to different email lists, you're given access to different systems, all large number of things that you, even if you were on staff, even if you've been there for a few years, don't even know exists. Because that's just the way large companies handle it, right? You're either management or you're non-management. And believe it or not, there is a difference. There is a massive difference. I'm actually guiding one of my clients through that right now because they're looking to go into management. Same company. They've been with the company a long time. They love the company, but they know that there's a different Like the complexity and the level of difficulty goes up when you go into management. One day I'll do more content on that, but there's a huge difference. Huge difference. Not to mention that the pay is also better. But anyways, guys, you know what? This feels like a natural transition point. Wow, we've been on for more than an hour and a half, guys. Amazing, amazing. I've loved the variety of conversation that we've had, guys. What a great conversation! Such a great group. So good to see everybody back. It's also good to see a good mix of my longtime supporters and my newer supporters. Thanks so much for being here, guys. Really appreciate each and every one of you. If you're new, please keep on coming back. You found a great community online. And for those of you that have been my longtime supporters, really appreciate you hanging in with me. And special shout out to Cindy and Ty, who are some of my coaching clients. Really appreciate you guys also. So thanks so much, everybody. Catch me over on Instagram. I'm going to start up my Instagram stream. I'm way late for my Instagram. But yeah, Ty says thank you. Yeah, thank you, buddy. Thanks for being here. Again, thanks to you and Cindy for being great clients. But as always, please take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and I will see you guys again tomorrow.